Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you one more time for plugging into Q's on the Move, the Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Second District podcast, where we tell our story. We have so many great stories to tell, and tonight we'll be concluding out Black History Month with the great fraternity, the Iota Mu Mu chapter. So I want to bring up right away, brother Bossless. Brother Bossless, how are you tonight?
I'm doing outstanding. I'd like to thank Q's on the Move as well as the Second District for allowing us to have our third iteration joining us here tonight. And again, just giving us an opportunity to highlight some of the great work that the brothers are doing in our chapter up and down the East Coast. So extremely excited to be here. Thank you, Brother Stevens.
Absolutely, brother. You're one of the only chapters that I know that covers multiple states, and I'm really excited. And I want to just say thank you before we get started for your service, brother. All of you brothers are in the military, your officers in the military, and you're doing phenomenal work recognizing and supporting this country and serving as role models, not only for the young men and women that are in your program, but for the bros as well. Tell us a little bit about your chapter, what your nickname is, and how long you've been the bossless of the chapter.
Excellent. So again, I'm Torri Preston, bossless of Iota Mu Mu, Naval Academy Q's. As you mentioned earlier, our chapter is predominantly made up of brothers who are commissioned officers in the Navy, as well as in the Marine Corps. I've been the bossless, actually this is my first term. I served as the vice bossless, KRS, second vice, and a few other things within the chapter, so extremely excited. Our chapter operates predominantly out of the Annapolis area, but as you mentioned, we have brothers in New York, brothers in New Jersey, brothers spread out across the United States at their various duty stations as well. So extremely talented chapter, extremely diverse in terms of their backgrounds and stories. I'm looking forward to hearing from Brother Steadman and what he has going on up in New Jersey.
And I was really excited. Last week, we worked out with a program that you had with boxing. No, excuse me, last week it was physical fitness. And the brother was able to show us exactly how you put the mind, body, spirit into action. A lot of times you just hear it as just a catchphrase. But you brothers, your chapter has been able to actually put it into action. He actually has an app that you can apply and brothers can kind of follow. We want to do the same thing, looking at what Brother Mike has in the city of Newark, New Jersey. So let me bring Brother Mike on. Brother Mike, how are you today?
I'm doing great, brother. It's a pleasure to be here. It's also it's great to see us creating this type of content and getting this education out at scale.
Absolutely, brother. So again, would you share with us where you were initiated and what your current position is in the chapter, if you're anything other than a member?
I'm currently just a member, but cross Spring 08 out of Mu out of the Naval Academy. Like I said, it's been quite the journey, and I really credit my experience with Omega. Give me the tenacity to persevere and start a boxing program, to be an entrepreneur, to be a combat veteran. These are things that I still lean on, and it's a blessing to have so many men that you get to actually go through life with, such as, Brother Preston and I, we've been through it. So again, it's just great to be here, and it's great to, be an extension of the chapter and talk about, what I've been able to do in Newark and entrepreneurship.
Wow, I know Newark is a growing city and it's got a lot of big things in there. I used to work with the recreation department there, and I know in that Ironbound section, they have one of the best gymnasiums and a ice skating rink and all kinds of stuff there in the Ironbound. Tell us a little bit about your program, first and foremost. What is the name of the program?
Yeah, so I run a nonprofit organization called Ironbound Boxing and Education. One of the reasons I started it was at the Naval Academy. I was a 3-time national boxing champion, 2-time most valuable boxer. 3-time national boxing champion, 2-time most valuable boxer, and captain of my boxing team. But if you know anything about midshipmen, you don't win 3 national championships just sparring midshipmen. I cut my teeth in inner city gyms in Baltimore, DC, and New York City. And sadly, though, a lot of the young men and women inside these boxing programs weren't like us at the Naval Academy and the service academies where we box in college. But at the end of the day, we're going to graduate from world-class institutions, then serve our country as officers in the military, and then transition out and, work in corporate America, go to grad school, start our own businesses. That's not the norm in my sport, unfortunately. But because I got to experience it at the Naval Academy, once I completed my time in the Marine Corps, I decided I wanted to relocate to Newark, New Jersey, and essentially recreate the Navy boxing program in the heart of Newark. And that eventually became Ironbound Boxing.
Now, where at exactly in the Ironbound section you're located? Because when I actually lived down there, and it was a real big soccer situation down there with where everybody. It was funny how double parking was the norm down there. In that area, you had to learn how to double park to live in the Ironbound. So where are you at exactly in that area? What street are you located on?
So you'll appreciate this. The gym is actually located in that stadium. So we're in the back of the Sharp James Kenneth A. Gibson Recreation Center. And I actually learned that play during my time in Maryland because Headbangers Boxing Gym, I think Barry Hunter, he ran that program out of a recreation center. Then you think about Upton Boxing Gym where Gervonta Davis, Tank, he boxed out of a recreation center. And so getting exposed to that early on, I realized that, there's not a lot of money in amateur boxing. And if you want to run a free program, you've got to keep your overhead low. So when I relocated to Newark, I approached the city of Newark about opening up a gym inside one of their recreation centers.
Big shout out to Mayor Ras Baraka. Best of luck for him in his race for governor. And my man, Donnell Redding, he now runs the rec center. So I pray that everything is working out with you there. Who's your target audience for the Ironbound Boxing Association?
So we target youth and young adults between the ages of 10 and 22. And it's important I say youth and young adults because one of the things that we have to be cognizant of, when kids graduate high school and they're 18 and they're living in an environment like Newark, not everyone's going to go to college or go to the workforce right away. So, some people call them opportunity youth. That's a very vulnerable time period for a lot of them. And even a gym membership can be a huge lift when they don't have income coming in. So it's important for us from the very beginning to focus on youth, but also make space for these young adults, young men and women, as they're essentially kind of finding themselves and they have that safe spot to train. And going back to what you said, that mind-body connection.
I'm loving that, man. And the work that you're doing, is the recreation department funding you, or do you have to do outside fundraising? Do parents have to pay? How's that go?
Yeah, our program is entirely free. We're funded primarily by veterans all across the country. Now, we do get the space. Thank you to the city of Newark for allowing us to have that space, because by us not having to, pay overhead rent, we're able to provide a lot more support and resources to our kids, sending them to tournaments all across the country. I like to say they have no problems. All they got to do is show up. We cover their registration fees with USA Boxing. We cover their equipment. We have sponsorships with Everlast Worldwide, which is the largest distributor of boxing equipment globally, as well as the Dick's Sporting Goods Foundation. And so, we're really able to provide a lot of support to the kids that we serve, but it's definitely a team effort. It definitely takes a village.
Man, this is such great stuff, man, because all over the country, and particularly in New Jersey and New York City, what you're doing is every single chapter would like to find a way to get down there at some point in time and find a way to participate with their young people, boys and girls. I assume you do boys and girls?
We absolutely do. We got a great boxer. Her name is Cherish Love. She's 17. Nice. She actually went to USA Boxing Nationals this year. She didn't make it out of the semifinals, but it's still good exposure for her. But we've had quite a few girls over the years.
And that's good stuff, man. The Newark chapter, the Upsilon Phi brothers, we want to try to get them. They have a new mentoring program, and they're pretty much in the Central Ward. Brother Stephen Cooper is running that part of their mentoring program, and Brother Chris is the bossless. So I'm definitely going to make a connect with the two of you, so they can just get on the 1 or the 31, and that takes them right down to the Ironbound Center to just kind of chop it up with you. I know one of the things that I was always interested in boxing, and what I see a lot now, the kid, the generally children don't knuckle up. You know, a lot of them go straight for the gun, go straight for the knife, go straight for the bat, and if you watch them just try and just have a regular, what we used to call a fair one, you know, they struggle. You know, they're like slap boxing, and you know, they're all over the place. Do you see a general lack of knowledge in the actual sweet science of boxing? Are kids like not? I guess the kids need more of the fundamentals now than they did in the past.
I don't know if I necessarily agree with that, and here's why. One, we don't have trouble getting kids into the program. I mean, our phone blows up all day, every day. We get emails all day, every day of kids that want to box. One of the things that this generation has that we didn't have coming up was access to YouTube and these social media platforms. So even though they might be a little bit raw, their exposure to the sport is at an all-time high. And believe it or not, you know, many of them do want to learn how to box. They do want to learn how to protect themselves. You know, there's something about the sport of boxing that draws that, I don't want to call it primal energy, but just something about working on yourself. You know, that's really what it is. You know, because if you don't play football, if you don't play basketball, you know, you don't run track, what options do you really have for you? And I think a lot of young men and women out here are a little bit lost, but there's something about the boxing gym that just allows them to build some self-confidence.
Absolutely.
Good stuff. Brother Boss, I'm gonna bring you back in the conversation. Then we kind of go back and forth. As the boss list, what did you think of when Brother Mike brought this idea to be part of the chapter? Well, I assume you were really excited about it, and but kind of give us some thoughts on from your chair. What are your thoughts on the program?
Absolutely. So me and Brother Steadman actually have a pretty unique story. I had an opportunity to live with this brother when we both were stationed at Camp Lejeune as Marines. And one of the things I admired about just the thought process is, again, this brother wrote his entire business plan down in what we call a Green Monster notebook. And everything that he wrote down many years ago actually came to fruition. So, you know, his passion, his tenacity for pursuing that goal was something that I definitely wanted to emulate across the chapter as an example of what it looks like to actually set a goal and pursue that goal. So when he brought the opportunity, you know, to the chapter in terms of how they operate, it was right in line with the Iota Mu Scholarship and Uplift Academy, where we teach everything from, you know, the physical fitness aspect to the academic success, you know, also to the mental fortitude, which we kind of spoke about during Brother Christian's session last week. And all of these aspects, particularly, you know, the combatives in general, they do build self-confidence, and it prepares these young men and women, you know, for the world and some of the things that they'll potentially have to endure. So I think, you know, what Mike is doing up in Newark can be replicated across, you know, the United States, many chapters. And I encourage, you know, those brothers in New Jersey to get behind this brother. You know, I mean, obviously running a free program isn't really free. So, you know, anyone that's in the Newark area, if you want to find somewhere to see a tangible investment for your dollars, I think Brother Steadman is a good place to put that money.
Absolutely, Brother Mike. We will be introducing you to all of Brother Keith Pressey runs the recreation department in Linden, New Jersey. I work with the city of East Orange, the city of Orange. Brother Benji, I'm not sure if you know who Brother Benji is, but Brother Benji is the director. He's Senator Brother Benji now. He runs the Patterson Recreation Department. So we got brothers all over the state in recreation director positions that are going to be blowing your phone up, just like all of these kids are blowing your phone up. Come this week, brother. You're going to call me and say, Brother Stevens, hold off, man. There's too many people calling. So be on the lookout for those many calls, man. One of the things, Brother Mike, that I loved about what you said, and I'm going to go back and forth between the boxing and this, is your real desire and love for entrepreneurship. Today, brother, I was on my way to work, and I pulled up on this new spot that is on Central Avenue in East Orange. It's called Poppy's, and it was a deli and like a bodega, but they had it stretched out. And when I went in, it was all good. The food was excellent. This was clean. They had Latino music blasting, and everybody in there was a family member. And so they're pushing this entrepreneurship and they're making it happen. And I think that our Black community has to kind of follow suit and do some of that same stuff in order for us to deal with, like just tonight, we have our president is on what the same time we're on. And I think entrepreneurship might be the secret weapon to get us through. What say you, brother?
I definitely agree. Depending on how you came up, I grew up in the South, right? So we definitely grew up celebrating the civil rights movement, marching in the streets, etc. But didn't really learn that much about like the economic side of the house and, about building business and ownership. I got exposed to so much stuff just going to the Naval Academy. I think that was really my first true exposure to entrepreneurship because the academy was the first place I ever saw, number one, a student challenge a teacher. Like a teacher put something up on the board and the student's like, that's not right, sir. I was like, I didn't realize you could do that. So seeing that. And the other thing, the Naval Academy was one of the first places I saw where if something didn't exist, midshipmen would just make it happen. And I don't know if these kids grew up seeing that and they felt jujitsu club, we're just going to start a jujitsu club, versus how I come up, if there was just something that's not there, that's just what it was. So getting exposed to that early on kind of really showed me what was possible. I think now more so than ever, we got a lot of young men and women out here who are lost. In the Marine Corps, we pride ourselves on leadership and, you feel the weight of being responsible for people's livelihood in combat. But let me tell you, I also feel that weight when you're running a business and you're responsible for employing people. People going through layoffs, people going through these different things. I think it's a hell of a thing when you can provide somebody a safe landing to earn income for themselves and their loved ones. And I think we need to really focus in on that in the community. Now, one of the challenges from an entrepreneur perspective is exposure. So there's a lot of hype. I mean, y'all on Instagram, y'all see the people driving the nice cars, flexing. Don't you want to be like me? Don't you want to look like me? That's really not entrepreneurship. Most of the entrepreneurs I see that are doing really well, they're down, grinding, but you got to understand what that looks like. And so we've got to do a better job of exposing what it takes to build something 0 to 1, but also expose these other opportunities out here. You can buy a business, so you can, get a loan from the SBA, purchase a revenue generating asset. You have venture capital. You have all these different lanes now, depending on which way you want to go. And thanks to platforms like this, thanks to the internet, ChatGPT, and a lot of other resources and tools now, I do think the sky's the limit, but I think our community does need more guides.
Absolutely. Well, you're going to be one of them, brother. We want to make sure that we connect you with the Rutgers Small Business Development Center. They're about 15 blocks away from the Ironbound Center, right downtown Newark. And they have a complete system that helps entrepreneurs get started from the very beginning on your business plan. They have a lawyer from the Rutgers Law School look over your plan. They have banks that are able to help you with upfront funding and so forth and so on. So I want to make sure that I connect you with the Rutgers Small Business Development Center as another resource. And then, as I had mentioned, brothers like Brother Cooper, Stephen Cooper out of Newark Upsilon Phi, he's doing a lot of work in the entrepreneurship space as well. So, brother, your phone's never going to stop ringing after we get off this call. So I hope you're ready for that.
Yeah, no, it's a blessing. And I actually got my start with the Small Business Development Center out of Rutgers. I connected with Andrew Frazier. He's a fellow veteran. He's not a member of Omega, but he was super helpful early on. And I still consider him a friend and a mentor. And then actually, when I registered our nonprofit, I actually did that through not the SBDA, but the Rutgers Transactional Lawyering Clinic, right? So these are kind of tips and tricks I learned along the way where you can, if you're within a local university, they have consulting classes and they'll assign you a consulting. If there's a law school nearby, you can get free pro bono work. So I've been able to go through a lot of that, and I try my best to pass that knowledge to our chapter.
Oh, that's good stuff, brother. Brother Boss, Do you see the program, the boxing program, extending to any of the other areas where you're at in your term, or is it something that the chapter is looking at as it relates to expansion?
Yes. So I definitely think, within the next probably 2 to 4 years, particularly with our close proximity to the Naval Academy, targeting, the DMV area to essentially replicate kind of what Brother Stedman's done. So I definitely think it's possible. And again, he's kind of humbly laid out the blueprint for doing so. And to be honest, as a chapter, not only our chapter, but other local chapters throughout Corridor 1 and the Maryland area, I think this is something we can all probably come together and conglomerate and execute. So I'm extremely excited. And I believe, honestly, I think a lot of, again, that tenacity piece comes from, again, we're both Marines. And as he mentioned, leadership, right? And his leadership by example, willing to take those calculated risks. And then when it's time to actually execute your plan, going out and executing your plan. So to answer your question, yes, I think it will be expanded. And for the brothers that are listening in, again, man, you have two brothers here that are willing to help extend that right hand of friendship and continue to move forward.
Brother Mike,
I do want to
go.
say this too. I think one of the challenges that we also have at times is everybody wants to start something, right?
Mhm.
But we also want to make sure those that are in the fight stay in the fight,
That's right.
And one of the blessings I've had just being able to start Ironbound was that Naval Academy background, that Service Academy background, that military officer background. There's a lot of young coaches that didn't come from the Naval Academy, that don't have that military background, and they're out there trying to keep their gyms alive on hopes and dreams. So I think there can be different flavors of what that support looks like outside of just starting another Ironbound, but more so just connecting dots where they previously didn't exist and bringing that human capital together. Because I think that's the biggest thing that we need now. Sometimes that's also just training, getting people get their website set up, getting the little fundraising widgets on their website so they can get donations easier. There's a lot of experience and things that we bring to the table that you'd be surprised. A lot of these community-based nonprofits, they just don't have that, not a lot of organizers, they just don't have the kind of educational background and resources a lot of us have. So I definitely think there's multiple ways to skin a cat, whether it's start another program or just, leveraging our resources to support existing ones.
Loving it, brother. Brother Mike, any thoughts? Have you ever worked with the public or the private schools in their after school space? I know in East Orange, Patterson, Newark, and particularly in Orange, we have a brother named Brother Barry Devone. He runs the 21st Century After School Program. And they're always looking for these type of activities, and they have funds to pay instructors to kind of come out and do sessions with kids. Have you had any experience with the after school programs?
Not really. For us, just due to bandwidth purposes, to be quite frank, we've really honed in and focusing on the academy itself, just
Nice.
training kids at our location, because that's a full-on hand-to-hand combat right there. Having
Absolutely.
enough coaches to cover the gym. And it's also part of the process. Like if you want to train at Ironbound, you got to get to the gym, and kids will find a way.
Yes,
Sometimes they'll get on bicycles, they'll catch a bus or whatever. But I think that's also part of the process.
yeah, because the great thing about the city of Newark is they have buses that come from everywhere, and now the kids can use Uber or Lyft or something like that. And then ultimately, they don't wear Converses anymore, but I guess whatever. What are they wearing now? Air Force Ones or whatever
These
sneakers.
Jordan kids now.
Yeah, whatever
Yeah.
sneakers they're wearing, they can wear the sneaker leather out to kind of get down there if they really, really are interested. We talked a little bit about the military and how that has helped to shape both of you as individuals and your chapter, as well as all of the different programs that you've laid out. Would you recommend the military as a career option? And Brother Mike, I'll start with you, and then well, Brother Boss, I'll start with you because Brother Mike, something just happened to his system. He'll be right back on. Has the military? Do you recommend the military as something that kids should look at and aspire for careers?
I definitely would say yes for a couple reasons. So I think the structure of the military and the opportunities that it has, very unique, right? I just think about my own personal circumstances where, growing up in Atlanta, didn't really have too much. The Naval Academy opportunity came along where they say, hey, look, we have an opportunity for you to go to, play Division I football, have an Ivy League education, and it all be paid for, and we pay you while you're there, right? So for someone coming from that particular circumstance to be introduced to, something where, you do have the funds available to take care of your family, and then the career options are essentially limitless. I think is a great opportunity. The one thing I would encourage though is that particularly for those who are planning to pursue the military, recommend going to college first. If that's not an option, go to college while you're in the military. But I think if you plan to go in, have a career, definitely would prescribe, going the officer route, just in terms of the opportunities that it will present you with later on down the line.
Got it. Brother Mike, welcome back.
Thank you.
Question that we had, and we're throwing it your way, is would you recommend the military as something that young people should consider as a career?
It depends. And
Okay.
here's why. Okay. One of the things that, being in Newark, I've gotten to see the other side where so many young men and women transition out of that military. And like Torri said, that they don't have that college education. And then now they're kind of thrown in the workforce. I think the military is a great opportunity for people that are hungry, that are driven, that have a little bit of kind of discipline already. But at the same time, it can also be a real challenge post-transition for a lot of veterans. And so part of that is one, kind of like what we do with our chapter, is just making sure we have that bridge, to help guide people and continue to lift as we climb so that they do transition out, show them those best pathways. Because, we kind of have a blueprint with regards to grad school, going to some of these best schools in the countries and stuff, et cetera, that not everybody has. But the reality of it is a lot of young men and women that look like us are not going to always be officers. They're going to go through the enlisted route. And that does create its own little set of challenges. And they feel super isolated when they do transition out of the military and they go back to their communities. And so I just say, I don't try to indirectly force kids to go to the military, but I will let you know a lot of my boxers have gone on to pursue careers in the military. And it's just by, sermons we see. They see you in there, they watch how you move, and they want a little bit of that. But I try not to push kids unnecessarily.
Got you. I know for myself, I was in the military. I went the non-commissioned officer route, and I can share. I can concur with your sentiment. The officer route would have been a total different route. It wasn't for me at the time, and my service in the Army for those 4 years. I look back and it has really molded me to be who I am. But but by the time I got to my 3rd year, I remember I was in Korea, and I ran into a young brother. He was Japanese American, and he had went the ROT, the college route. So we were about the same age, but he was an officer and I was enlisted. And I just kind of asked myself at that point, I was like, wow, what's this guy got that I don't? And that always kind of stuck with me as I kind of transitioned into different things because I didn't have the experience and I didn't really even know one thing from the other. But I really concur with you that the military can be a scary place to get out and not know where you're kind of going. And I really just got to tip my hat to you, brothers, for actually walking the walk and doing it. But more importantly, coming back to the community, staying active, and just serving as the light and the example. We're just out of time. I want to start with the brother Bosses and brother Mike. I'll come to you, brother Boss. I want to just say thank you, brother. You are the one chapter who stepped up to the plate harder than any other chapter and agreed to participate in the Q's on the Move podcast. Your lead has helped other brothers have followed your lead, and I think I only have one, maybe two more sessions that I have to fill, but I can't thank the brothers of Iota Mu Mu enough for stepping in and kind of getting it done. As we close out, is there anything you'd like the brothers to know about Iota Mu Mu and anything coming up?
Absolutely. So again, thank you again for allowing us to execute these last 3 sessions. It's been an honor and a privilege just to be able to have the opportunity to kind of highlight just a few of the 111 brothers that we have on our rolls and the excellent work that they're doing throughout the community. But just as I mentioned, at Navy Q's is our Instagram site. We'll be posting all the upcoming events. We have a scholarship luncheon coming up in November. We'll have several festivities surrounding the commissioning of our newly commissioned brothers from the Naval Academy coming up in May. So again, just stay tuned. And again, we'll likely have some more brothers joining Q's on the move here pretty soon. But thanks again, brother.
Brother, thank you so much, and happy end of Black History Month. Let's celebrate the sisters for March. Brother Mike, kind of concluding with you, brother, as indicated, your phone is going to be off the hook with people calling you, just trying to get in connect with you and to fellowship. We'll definitely invite you up to Ada Pi chapter, and I'll reach out to Brother Chris and Brother Benji to make sure that they at least know you and you know them from that perspective. Tell us what you got coming up at the Ironbound boxing that people can get down with.
We're just kind of running business as usual right now. Our kids are competing. We've got, I think, some girls from Canada that are coming in. I know it's a sensitive subject right now with Canada, but we've got some girls from the Canadian boxing team. They're going to be coming. We're going to be doing some sparring there. So mainly just keep us in your thoughts and prayers, keeping these kids, off the streets in the gym. That's really the most important thing. And I would just encourage those of you that are tuning in that do have, entrepreneurial ambitions and aspirations. I did write a book. It's called Black Veteran Entrepreneur: Violate Your Business Model, Build Your Brand, and Step into Greatness. And it talks through the Ironbound story. I basically give you the whole playbook, as well as feature case studies on more Black veteran entrepreneurs. So I encourage you all to check that out.
Brother, I can't stop. I gotta ask more about the book, bro. Tell me a little bit more about the book. How can the brothers purchase the book and get you to come do book signings and stuff of that nature at the chapter meeting?
Yeah, you can just go on Amazon and Audible. We have the audiobook version. You got the hardcover and the soft cover of the book. One of the reasons I wrote it was because, again, a lot of my support came from the veteran entrepreneurial community as a whole. And I've started to travel and go to conferences and go to events, and I was one of one. And so at a certain point, you got to ask yourself, you can be part of the problem or you're going to be part of the solution. And rather than kind of talk about it, I just decided to write a book, Black Veteran Entrepreneur. Went head down in 2021, 2022 to get it done, and then was finally able to publish it in the fall of 2022.
Man, we're gonna definitely go. Last question on the book is, who's the target audience? Who's the main person that should read this book?
I think it's anyone that has aspirations of starting a business, doesn't really know where to begin. They just kind of have an idea and they want to know how to go from 0 to 1, as well as those entrepreneurs that are in the fight and are white knuckling it. Entrepreneurship feels unnatural unless you have experience doing it. It's no different than the boxing gym, right? Like going to a gym, you train year 1 is a lot different than year 2. It's a lot different than year 5. But a lot of times we think it should be one way and it's actually not. And so my goal with the book at the end of the day was just to make people feel seen, particularly Black veteran entrepreneurs and Black entrepreneurs in general.
Man, what a great way to end our show for Black History Month and to start Women's History Month. Brother, we're going to be reaching out to get that information up on the 2nd District website. Will the two of you brothers be joining us up in Buffalo for the 2nd District conference?
Yes, sir. We'll see you in Buffalo.
Okay, definitely bring some copies of the book, brother. I will highlight it during our mentor session, and we will rock out from there. I took a little more time than necessary, not necessary, but then that's usually allotted. And I want to thank Darius for giving us this chance to run the podcast, and we went a little over. But man, when you start talking about that book, I had to just stretch it because we got to support you in every possible way that we can. So, brothers, thank you for coming out. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in. Next week, we'll be coming back with another great edition of the Q's on the Move podcast. Peace.
Peace. Take care.
Thank you, brothers.
Just hold on for a couple seconds, brothers. We'll chop it up. Darius, let us know when you're done. You good, Darius?